you. Okay, good. You like it? They can't get to a 6 o'clock meeting?
We've already done that survey.
And if I can have it on time.
And let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting, November 21st, 2017. Crystal?
On item 14, the ordinance number should be 9047 instead of 9050.
Can we have a moment of silence? Rick?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Comments from the public? State your name.
My name is Liz Ryan, and I live at 2417 Erie. I really want to thank everybody that attended the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. I think it was a good success. I think there was probably around 200. And I want to thank all the work that was done by Cheryl, putting all the bulbs on the tree, and plus the building and grounds, and Robert, and all the board members that served the cookies and the hot chocolate. And I thought it was a great success. And special thanks to our buddy the elf who gave you a bulb to put on the tree. And I was very pleased with everyone that came. I thought it was a great success, and I hope all of you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Rich Gross, North Kansas City Business Council, and I just want to thank in advance Pat and his crew for being willing to put up the 38 Christmas trees that are going to be up and down Armour and Swift, sponsored by 38 different businesses. You'll start seeing that next week. Thanks.
Anybody else? Oh, hearing none, let's proceed to consent agenda.
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 7, revised short-term conditional use permit, Christmas light 5K run.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. In June of this year, the council approved a short-term conditional use permit for the Running Well store to hold their annual Christmas Light 5K and 1 mile walk. And the applicant's now requesting an amendment to their permit to allow for Christmas lights to be hung above a section of Erie Street. Kathy Gates from the Running Well store is here to explain this request to you.
Hi, City Council. Thanks for having me. Just as an update, we currently have 1,015 people registered for the Christmas Light Run on the 9th. Last year we had 1,300, and we're hoping to exceed that again this year. One of the threats that we see to the run is that while Armour Road is beautiful, sometimes some of the more residential neighborhoods can be a little bit darker, and since it's the Christmas Light Run, we've partnered with a business who is a professional Christmas light hanging company to hang Christmas lights in exchange for promotion. So what we would like them to do is hang lights on Erie between 26th and 27th Street. We've already talked to the residents and who will let us use their homes as electrical outlets. The lights will be hung above Erie, 17 higher than 17 foot to make sure that traffic can pass through. There will be minimal amp usage on the homes. We will be providing the lights and the extension cords. And they will be hung next week, sometime when he can work it into his schedule, and they will remain on Erie Street throughout the season and be taken down after Christmas. So it is something that the residents of Erie Street will be able to enjoy. Are there any questions?
Pat, did you have any additional comments?
No, there was some concern about the electrical, but David Harris looked at it, and it takes their LED lights, and there are only 300 strands of lights, so there's no issues with electrical we're concerned about.
I think it'll look real nice.
Move to approve it.
I think you guys should all run the race.
Maybe walk.
I might be biased, or walk, absolutely.
We got a motion?
Move to
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much for your time.
Number 8, approval of final application for Missouri Development Finance Board funding, Rabbit Hole, resolution number 17-079.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. At your meeting of October 3rd, the council approved a project summary application for a Missouri Development Finance Board, MDFB, tax credits on behalf of the Rabbit Hole, which is a proposed museum of children's books, which would be located in North Kansas City at about 14th and Knox. On October 24th, Pete Cowden, the co-founder and director of this project, and I, because the city would be the applicant, presented the concept to the MDFB. Their reactions were positive. And so now before the council for your consideration and approval is a final application. It's consistent with the project summary application that you approved earlier. You know, one of the key aspects of that summary application and of this final application is a city contribution. That is something that, in order for the application to be successful, would be necessary. And what we proposed to you at that time and what's included in this final application is the idea that the city would purchase parking in the area, which we know is available. We put in an amount of $200,000 in this final application. The idea would be that if the application is successful with the MDFB, that then the city would negotiate and enter into a long-term lease with the Rabbit Hole, by which would help us eventually get that money back that we would initially set out. So that is the idea of the city contribution, is that we would make an initial expenditure and then recover that expenditure over a period of time. So that's what's anticipated in the application. Pete Cowden of the Rabbit Hole is here if you have any questions. If you approve this, then the idea would be that this would go before the MDFB in December for hopefully a decision.
What is the exact location of that parking lot?
So the parking lot is roughly, it's on Knox, on the east side of Knox, just north of 13th Avenue. So kind of around the corner from the building that's being purchased by the Rabbit Hole.
Not necessarily to the $200,000, but are you on schedule right now? Are you at that in your staffing phase?
Yeah, we've submitted a contract to the building owner, and so we're closing in on that. And that's required as well for our application to be under contract. So, yeah, we feel good about it.
Thank you.
I think the concept was explained quite well when the gentleman was here last time, and it'll smooth the edges of North Kansas City and make us a little more artsy, as I think I commented the last time. And anything that's good for children is good for everybody. So I would suggest we approve the resolution.
Just to clarify questions, so we would purchase a lot.
Yes.
So we would own that property. And then
Purchase and improve.
Purchase and improve, okay, so we'd have improvements. And then we would lease that in long-term, whatever we figure out the leasing
Right.
arrangement. with the rabbit hole. But for this purpose, we don't need to do a budget amendment or anything like that, because this is really just the application that says we're on the hook for
Correct.
$200,000,
The
right?
staff's assumption is, we hope that this application is successful, and if it is, then we would begin negotiating a lease. But if it wasn't successful, we wouldn't proceed.
Okay.
So no, we have not prepared a budget amendment.
And you won't really until we get to the point of contracting and buying something or
Correct,
whatever.
down
Okay.
the road.
I just wanna
If
make
the
sure I
application is
understand.
successful, then we would begin negotiations with
Okay.
the rabbit hole at the appropriate point in the future, and then bring it to you.
Okay, great. I'd love to have you here, so hopefully we can make it happen.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Eric, where would that money come from? Would that be out of gaming, I'm assuming?
Gaming or convention and
Or convention
tourism,
and
I'd have to
tourism.
see how the fund balance is looking, but either of those funds would be eligible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 9, City Code Amendment allowing serving of alcohol at the Parks and Recreation Center, Bill number 7243, ordinance number 9040.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. At the City Council work session on September 5th, City Council considered a Parks and Recreation Board request to change the city code to allow the serving of beer and wine in the new Parks and Recreation Center, which is under construction. And council at that time directed that we bring this forward to you for your formal consideration. So it is now before you. At this point, I'd call on Kelly Patipka to offer any additional comments about the request.
Thank you, Eric. Good evening, Mayor, council members. At the last meeting on November 7th, I brought forward a request to final approval for the changes in the city ordinance to allow alcohol to be served at the new Parks and Recreation Center. And one thing that was mentioned is that there was not any language in the code stating security or uniformed officers to be presented there, which the information, that language will be there in all of our rules and regulations, which will be handed out to each patron who will utilize the facility and rent and have alcohol. And also, these are the same rules and regulations that we utilize for the beer gardens. But after the request at the November 7th meeting, City Councilor Mr. Barzee put some language in that states, if I may read, shall comply with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations, and shall provide licensed uniform security. So with that, tonight I'd ask for approval of moving forward with the city ordinance to allow the alcohol to be served to those 21 years and older at the Parks and Recreation Center.
Zach?
Thank you for that. I've been a supporter of this. I think it's going to help the rentals on the parks and recreation facilities. Just one question I had, and maybe staff can answer, as far as I see where they have to apply for a temporary caterer's license through North Kansas City.
Correct.
And temporary liquor. Do we anticipate that increasing the workload much of our liquor control person? If it does, would that be something we'd have to budget for? Or do you think it'd be a minimal?
No, it'd be pretty de minimis
Minimal? Okay.
burden on staff.
Okay.
First reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
An ordinance amending Chapter 9.24, Offenses Against Public Decency of Title 9, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7243 be placed on second and final reading, passed as ordinance number 9040.
Second.
Call roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen? No. Councilmember Farr?
Yes.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
7-1, it carries. An ordinance amending Chapter 9.24, Offenses Against Public Decency of Title 9, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri. Number 10, City Code Amendment, Sunday Alcohol Sales, Bill number 7251, ordinance number 9048.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the police chief, Steve Beamer.
Thank you. Matt Brantner, our Director of Liquor Control, has identified some changes that he is recommending to our ordinances regarding alcoholic beverages. Mr. Brantner's here tonight to outline what those changes are. You may outlaw something too, Matt. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
I don't think he has that power.
For a second, I thought I'd worn my striped shirt. Mayor, council members. Tonight, I propose to you some changes to our alcohol code. The first couple are actually adding a couple of license classifications that we've never had, in the addition of a microbrewery and a domestic winery. A domestic winery is a winery that would produce a wine product primarily from the fruits and vegetables grown in our state. We haven't been approached thus far about having such a establishment in our city, but they are, just like microbreweries, they're growing in popularity, and so this is a step that I think we need to add in to have that in place should we be approached. The second one, we have several microbreweries in town already, but we've never had the correct license classification in our code. And so we've kind of added them into a category that we had that would work, but it's now time that I feel that we take the step to add the appropriate code in our ordinances to properly license those. So the biggest thing that we're seeing here is currently our Sunday license. For an establishment here in town to be licensed and apply and be accepted of a Sunday license, they have to meet one of two categories. One, they have to be a restaurant bar, and that requirement is that at least 50% of the gross annual income of the business must be derived from food prepared and consumed on the licensed premise, or the premise must have a minimum annual income of $275,000 derived from that sale of prepared food. That has been a problem for some of our businesses to meet, and I would say primarily the microbreweries that have come to town. As you well know, we have several of those facilities in our town now. A few years ago, the state also had this same requirement, but they changed. And so quite simply, if a business now wants a Sunday license, they apply to the state, they pay their fees, and they have a Sunday license in hand. Then they approach me and say, hey, I'm here now, I've got my Sunday license through the state, I want a Sunday license, and they find out about our license requirements, and they can't meet those. I've talked with several of our entrepreneurs who have chosen to come to North Kansas City to set up their businesses, primarily the microbreweries, and they feel that puts them at quite a disadvantage because they can't compete on Sundays with other businesses who have met this license requirement. And some of them even have booked some events not knowing that they wouldn't be eligible for a Sunday license. Historically, these places, and I speak about the microbreweries, have not caused any public safety issues. I have spoken with Chief Beamer, my previous experience as a state agent. The majority of people who visit the microbreweries and the production facilities aren't the type of people that's going to come out and drink mass quantities of alcohol. They're the ones that want to come to our city and try a unique product. Most of the times, the prices of these products are high enough that they don't appeal to the person that's going to come out and drink a large quantity. And like I said, they have not proposed a significant public safety issue. So with that in mind tonight, I'd propose the acceptance of this ordinance.
First of all, Mr. Brandner, thank you for working on this with the code, and having you here has been, I believe, a godsend. I know it takes some of the burden off staff, so really glad you're here. And on these businesses that have approached us before about a Sunday license, if we do change this code, are we going to do any outreach to them to letting them know the code has changed? Now you can get your Sunday license through North Kansas City?
Sure we are, and actually I believe I've seen some familiar faces in attendance tonight, so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention that. I talked to some friends the other day who were commenting on how nice it is to have a family-type microbrewery where you can bring your wife and your kids down and have a beer after work or on Sunday, whatever, without worrying about getting beat up or shot or robbed or whatever. And this man was saying, this is really nice, and it's unusual. he was claiming, I can't believe that it's happening here.
Right.
So I was very pleased to have your comment about its problem so far.
Thank you.
I just wanted to echo Councilmember Clevenger's comments that I feel like you've been a great addition to the team. So I've read through, I have no concerns about what you're proposing. I feel like the majority of the council and the residents and the businesses, we want to move forward and we want to create opportunities like this in our city, but we also want to do so in a safe and family-friendly, or at least, I guess as protective as possible way, while still allowing, these opportunities and these businesses to come in town and to make sure that we're in line with the state ordinances. So, and I also have to say I appreciate your partnership with Chief Beamer and the police department, because as we move forward, we want to do so in the right way. So I just wanted to say I appreciate your commitment and your time working on these, because you continually deliver great ordinances and work and research that helps us move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending Title IV Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending Chapters 4.04, 4.12, and 4.16 thereof.
I move that bill number 7251 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9048.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance amending Title IV Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri by amending Chapters 4.04, 4.12, and 4.16 thereof.
Thank you.
Number 11, final plat of North Kansas City Destination Development, second plat, Bill number 7248, ordinance number 9045.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Community Development Director, Sarah Copeland.
Good evening. This second plat concerns approximately 17 acres located to the south and east of Diamond Parkway in our redevelopment area. This area is currently platted as Lot 3 of North Kansas City Destination Development, and this plat would divide that Lot 3 into 5 smaller lots. It does not dedicate any new right-of-way or any new easements. At its meeting earlier in November 2nd, the Planning Commission reviewed the final plat and recommended approval to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance approving the final plat of North Kansas City Destination Development, second plat in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7248 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9045.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman? Yes. Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance approving the final plat of North Kansas City Destination Development, second plat in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri. Number 12, engineering services for Burlington Corridor Complete Street Project, Master Agreement and Work Order Number 1, Resolution Number 17-062.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Community Development Director, Sarah Copeland.
On October 17th, we had Shelley Daniel, the area engineer for Clay Platte and Ray counties from the Missouri Department of Transportation, attend your work session to answer questions about this project and our coordination between the city and MoDOT in moving forward for making improvements to Burlington. This is to follow up on our adopted Burlington Corridor Complete Street Plan, which is a design for improvements in that corridor in order to make this gateway into North Kansas City a more attractive and green front door that accommodates bicyclists and pedestrians and all of our vehicular traffic in that area. This is the next step in completing plans for those improvements that then we could put out to bid and access the federal funds that will help support that first phase of improvements. If you have further questions at this point, I would certainly be happy to answer those. And Jonathan Hoflander of Olson Associates is here as well. We selected Olson Associates as the most qualified firm to assist us in this next phase of work. And they have put together the master agreement and work order number 1 that is before you.
We got a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 13, budget resolution for engineering services for Burlington Complete Street Project, master agreement and work order number 1, resolution number 17-063.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. I'll call on Ms. Copeland.
So when we budgeted for this project a little over, about a year and a half ago now, our budget for fiscal year 2017 included $1,374,510 for the engineering and design work. After putting everything together with Olson, we had a difference of $14,490. And so this change order allocates the additional not quite $15,000 for this first phase of work.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 14, license agreement, Olson Associates, 13th Avenue parking lot, bill number 7250, ordinance number 9047.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the city councilor, Tom Barzee.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, as you may recall, excuse me, a number of years ago, the City Council authorized the acquisition of some property as well as the donation of property so that we could create a parking lot down near 13th and Burlington, between Burlington and Swift, and immediately north of 13th Avenue. This allowed for the redevelopment of buildings that were previously used for industrial purposes. And the Cable Building Parking Lot Association, they donated their property, as did Store Safe 7, which is John Miller's, one of John Miller's properties. And the city had acquired the former Ray France property as well as the railroad right-of-way that ran through there. Then over the next couple of years, but by the time we got everything, all properties acquired, everything, those that had donated property got a percentage of the different parking spots, and there were a total of 266 parking spots that were created in that parking lot by the city. And of those, the Cable Building received 110 of them. Store Safe received 80 of those, which left a total of 76 parking spots that remained under the control of the city. The Cable Building people, they ended up selling part of the Cable Building to Trigen Partners. Those are the same guys that were Luchin, the engineers. They sold that their building, and when they did, they transferred or authorized the use of those not authorized, they actually transferred 75 of the 110 that they had so that they would have adequate parking. And that's why we're here this evening, because Olson Associates, about a little over a year and a half ago, Olson acquired Luchin. And so then Olson ended up with two properties within 2 or 3 miles of each other, because they had a facility in Briarcliff as well as this one. They want to consolidate those this coming July, and in so doing, in order to make that transaction occur, though, they need an additional 30 parking spots. Okay? And so what you have before you, since the city has 76, and since this was actually the purpose for which this parking lot was built, to increase use in that area, there is a license agreement, and if approved, would grant Olson the right to use 30 unassigned parking spots. And by the way, all of these are unassigned. Okay, that's the way it was designed to begin with. And they would be subject to the same rules and regulations for the operation of this parking lot. They would not be paying anything for it. The others don't either, at least at the time being. It is built into the agreement that eventually they will. But Olson, under this license agreement, they would in fact have the right to use 30. So and Trigen Partners that got the 75 from the cable building, they have assigned those. They will assign those 75 so that there would be a total of 105 parking spots available for Olson's use when they move the rest of their people down here this coming summer. And so it's kind of contingent on this happening for them to make that move because they have to have enough parking. So I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I don't see the Olson people here tonight. Jonathan was not the one I've been dealing with, in fairness to Jonathan. I think he knows about this, but he has not been the one. This has been going on for several months. In fact, Mike Smith and I met with representatives of Lucian and Olson in August of this last year and kind of came up with this way of perhaps resolving the situation that Olson had. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to ask. Oh, and we can terminate this at any time by giving, I think it's 180 days notice, because they would have to have, if there was some real reason to do so, we could.
This will give them adequate parking.
That is my understanding. This is what they've asked for. And it is contingent on them bringing enough to fill up those parking spots or, for them and their clients. Otherwise, we can claw them back as well.
I think we should charge them $14,490 for those parking spaces. Then we'll call it even. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually very happy that they want to bring their offices down here as opposed to the other way, going up to Briar Club. So thank you, and that's great.
Make a motion.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance adopting and approving a license agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Olson Associates Incorporated for parking purposes in the 13th Avenue parking lot.
I move that bill number 7250 be placed on second and final reading and pass its ordinance number, you said 9047?
Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
Call a roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance adopting and approving a license agreement by and between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Olson Associates Incorporated for parking purposes in the 13th Avenue parking lot. Number 15, minor plat of Northtown Defco subdivision, lots 1 and 2. Bill number 7249, ordinance number 9046.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Ms. Copeland.
Minor plats provide for accelerated consideration when a parcel is being divided into no more than 5 lots. There are no changes to public streets, no dedications of new right-of-way, no conflicts with our master plan, and no adverse impacts on adjacent property or public facilities. This minor plat divides a parcel owned by Northtown Devco into 2 parcels to facilitate a possible development project. It was originally platted as North Kansas City Development Company's first plat of North Kansas City. The Planning Commission reviewed this on November 2nd and recommended approval to you unanimously. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
An ordinance approving the minor plat of Northtown Devco subdivision, lots 1 and 2 in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7249 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9046.
Second.
Call a roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance approving the minor plat of Northtown Devco subdivision, lots 1 and 2 in the City of North Kansas City, Missouri. Number 16, Change order number 7, Parks and Recreation Center drywalling of clerestory metal deck.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. At the request of the Parks Board, a tour of the Parks and Recreation Center construction project was conducted recently in the last few weeks. And during that tour, Parks Board members expressed dissatisfaction with the appearance of the building's clerestory. It's sort of the open hall area when you enter the building. It does need to be noted, the building was designed with an exposed metal deck, and the city did accept this design at the outset of the project, so this does not involve a case of design error by the architect. The Parks Board asked the mayor to approve a change order to install drywall on the bottom side of the clerestory metal deck, and the mayor viewed the clerestory and concluded that that work should proceed. A change order in the amount of $13,160.10 was submitted, and the mayor directed that it move forward and be brought to the council at this meeting. And that change order does include an extension of time for Larison Construction, which staff does believe, after the accumulation of change orders for this project, is appropriate, of about 10 additional days, which would get us to about the end of January now for completion of the project. As is indicated in your council packet, this last change order in this amount would completely exhaust the contingency fund that was established for this project. It would be overdrawn by about $1,500. So it would be our intention, pending direction from the council tonight on this and another matter I'll mention in a moment, to probably bring you a budget amendment that would reallocate funds for the project to establish an additional amount. Regarding allocation of cost, so when the building official, David Harris, first obtained a cost of this work from the contractor, Larison Construction, it was indicated that the amount for the change order would be $4,928 to do the work. This was communicated to Parks and Recreation Director Kelly Batipka, who indicated that the Park Board would accept responsibility for the change order in that amount. But later that day, when Larison submitted the final paperwork for the amount was substantially more. Notably, the $13,160.10, it's before you tonight. And the reason, apparently, is things were moving fast, and at that time, the amount that was originally quoted by the contractor did not include the entire clerestory. When they actually got the amount for the entire thing that would needed to be done, that was the amount that they submitted. And at that point, I did contact the mayor. I said, it's more than we talked about earlier today. Should we proceed? And the mayor indicated that we should. So it has proceeded. So Ms. Batipka has indicated, well, the Parks Board had said that they'd cover $4,928. They weren't counting on $13,000 plus, and the Parks Board, quite reasonably, I think, is indicating that they are willing to commit to the original amount that they said they would commit to, but they are asking the city to cover the amount between that and the final amount. So at this point, staff's seeking direction from you as to A, approval of the change order after the fact, and B, the allocation. I would propose that we bring to you a budget amendment that would incorporate a decision to allocate $4,928 to the Park Board and $8,232.10 to the city. And that's what's before you.
Rick?
Okay, I trust, the mayor looked at it, and I trust his opinion on it. You know, and it's certainly not the Park Board's fault. You know, this is one of those things, you know, I will say, and it has nothing to do with staff of the board, anybody here, but I think everybody knows my opinion of the construction work down there. Not the quality, I don't know about that, but I have no doubt it costs this much, because if they're paying them by the hour down there, they're the slowest workers I've ever seen. So that's why it's so high. I mean, I've been watching them side that place, and they're not done with it yet. And the roofing took 2 months, I think. But that's not part of this. But I support the mayor. The mayor's got to make decisions like this, unless all of us once called in every time something needs to be done.
Yeah, I also support the mayor's approval, and I appreciate the allocation. I think that's fine. I was curious, like, was it really that bad, or like how, was this a unanimous decision on the Parks Board part, or?
Well, actually, it was first reported to me, the park board had a tour of the building. And, after they seen it, they called me and they said, we gotta do something about this. Actually, when they attached the roof above the steel, they had, I guess, just screws that they run down through
The roof?
the roof, and there these screws are sticking down 2 or 3 inches right down into, and it looked terrible. I mean,
Well, drywall is only ½ inch thick, so.
well, they're covering it up with drywall. So, I mean, it
Oh,
was,
I see. So there's the drywall will go on top of those.
yeah, the drywall will go up and all of this will be
Okay.
concealed.
All right,
You won't
well,
see it, so.
Just curious
Uh,
how bad.
I really, we wanted a very attractive building, and I think that if we'd accepted what we had there, it would look terrible.
Okay, well, okay. Small price to pay.
No, saying that, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem having the city pay for the whole 13,160 versus having, I mean, we've already had to allocate extra funds for the electricity and everything else, and seeing how it looked and the differences, I wouldn't have a problem with going with the whole 13,160.
I agree with the mayor's assessment, trust his judgment. I'm fine with the allocation the way it is right now.
Okay, we got a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the change order with the city paying the full amount.
Second.
City paying the full amount?
Second.
And I appreciate the offer of the park board, but this is a new building, we're paying for it, that's my opinion. Anyway, I made the motion.
I seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 17, budget amendment, SCADA upgrades, resolution number 17080.
Eric.
Thanks, sir. I'll call on the Public Works Director, Pat Hopper.
Thank you. Last year, IT manager Stephen Roberts warned Public Works staff that a current SCADA system that serves the water, the sanitary sewer, and the storm sewer pump stations is more than 5 years past its useful life, and the program server could fail at any time. The SCADA system monitors and remotely sends flow data, alarm notifications of power outages, pump malfunctions, and other operational information to the water and WPC personnel. Upgrading the SCADA system was inadvertently omitted from the 2018 budget. Microcom has submitted a proposal in the amount of $15,174 for the purchase and installation of the SCADA system upgrades. A budget amendment is requested so the project can proceed now rather than wait till the next fiscal year. A contingency of 10% is recommended in the event there are some unforeseen issues that occur during the installation. A total expense of the purchase and the installation of the much-needed SCADA upgrades, including contingency, is $16,690,000. Approximately 20% of the SCADA upgrades directly benefits the water division for their water pump station, and approximately 80% benefits WPC operations. The budget amendment appropriates funding from the water fund and the WPC fund accordingly. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 18, resolution of support law enforcement memorial, resolution number 17078.
Eric.
Thanks, sir. I'll call on the Police Chief, Steve Beamer.
Thank you, sir. On November 7th of this year, Mayor Stilo and Mr. Berlin and myself met with Councilmember Heather Hall of the Kansas City, Missouri City Council. She is spearheading an effort to bring a regional law enforcement memorial to this area to honor fallen officers who have died in the line of duty. And there's currently 2 or 3 fallen officer memorials that are city-specific in the region, but not one that covers a lot of the smaller communities and the counties that exist in this area as well. So what is being proposed is a fallen officer memorial that would be located up by the Kansas City Regional Police Academy and the Shoal Creek Police Building off of 435 and Shoal Creek. This is going to be a project that is going to be privately funded. There's no public money being involved in it. And at this time, she is requesting support from city governments throughout the region, expressing their support. She's also asking for letter of support from sheriffs and police chiefs in the region. So before you tonight is a resolution expressing support for this fallen officer memorial, if you choose to act on it.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Number 19, contract renewal, Wiedemann Incorporated, resolution number 17-077.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. I'll call on Mr. Hopper.
Thank you. The city's contract with Wiedemann Incorporated for emergency water and sewer repairs expired on October 1st, 2017. The contract term for 1 year is for 1 year, and it can be renewed for up to 3 additional 1-year periods with approval of City Council. Public Works staff is pleased with the water and sewer repairs that Wiedemann has done over the last year and recommends approval of a 1-year extension of their contract to continue their services. As set forth in the contract, the contractor's hourly rate schedule is subject to an annual adjustment after completion of the initial term. Wiedemann has submitted a request to increase the current wages and published in the prevailing wage order from Clay County, order number 24. Resolution authorizing a 1-year extension of contract with Wiedemann has been prepared for your consideration.
Move to approve.
You want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Number 20, call for the April 2018 municipal election, bill number 7253, ordinance number 9050.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. Before each municipal election, the city is required to pass an ordinance calling for it. Attached then, or before you for your approval tonight, is an ordinance calling for the city general municipal election to be held on April 3rd, 2018. This would be for the election of a council member from each ward, 4 of the 8 council members. The filing for declaration of candidacy would be from December 12th until January 16th.
First reading. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance calling for a general election to be held on April 3rd, 2018 for the purpose of electing candidates for the office of council member from each of the 4 wards in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7253 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9050.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes.
An ordinance calling for a general election to be held on April 3rd, 2018 for the purpose of electing candidates for the office of council member from each of the 4 wards in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri. Number 21, approving accounts due and payable by the city through November 17th, 2017. Bill number 7252, ordinance number 9049.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through November 21st, 2017.
I move that bill number 7252 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9049.
Second.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through November 21st, 2017.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Ms. Copeland.
Two items for you tonight. One is that I left at each of your seats and distributed to the people who are here tonight postcards about our parking management plan, asking people to take our downtown parking opinion survey. We have set an ambitious goal of getting to 1,000 survey responses by December 15th. So we really need your help in reaching that. We are currently at 263. So we can get there. We have 25,000 people who come here every day, so that should be an achievable goal. And we really appreciate your help with that. Please take it yourselves if you haven't already. Second, there is going to be a public meeting on November 30th regarding traffic control for the Buck O'Neill Bridge Rehab Project. So this is just about how MoDOT is going to manage traffic. They will be keeping northbound lanes open on the bridge, but closing down the southbound lanes. So if you're interested in learning more about that, that is Thursday, November 30th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Mid-America Regional Council offices at 6th and Broadway.
Sarah, if people are not able to attend, will you give us a kind of a synopsis at the next meeting?
Yes, I'd be happy to give you a synopsis. At this point, I have asked MoDOT for some additional information, but this is, at this point, all I know for now.
Okay.
But I'll try to have more information for you at your next meeting.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarah. I do have a number of items tonight. First of all, to get some of the easy ones out of the way, the upcoming city items of note report is in your packet, as is the YMCA monthly financial report for October of 2017. Also, just a note about the MML Legislative Conference, the Missouri Municipal League Legislative Conference, which is in mid-February. Currently, 4 of you have indicated that you'll attend. That's February 13th and 14th, and those are Council Members DeLong, Stewart, and Clevenger, along with myself. So we had originally reserved 4 rooms at the Capitol Plaza Hotel based upon 4 of you indicating that you were coming. We have gone ahead and reserved a 5th, so if any of you is interested in attending, please let the city clerk know. We can reserve further rooms. They do fill up fast, so if more of you are interested in going, please let us know, and if not, at some point we would let that room go. Would like to talk about the high school construction project. Construction began very early this morning on the high school project, a little bit before 4 o'clock a.m. And residents nearby, we did hear from residents nearby that were complaining about that early start, which is certainly understandable. We had heard from the contractor that they were going to begin early. We were not prepared for them to begin that early. The contractor is involved with large deck pours. Those take many hours to do, and once they've begun, they have to be continued to completion due to structural constraints. They can't be done in phases, unfortunately. When I first heard about this early start and asked questions, I said this is unacceptable, but I have, through education, become convinced that this is in fact something that's unavoidable. There will be several more of these pours through December, and all of them are going to require an early morning start. Around 4 a.m., they're indicating that the contractor, J.E. Dunn, in some cases, it could continue as late as midnight. Not all of the pours would take that long, and efforts would certainly be made to do the shorter ones, the ones that wouldn't take this long, entirely within daytime hours or as close to that as possible. Contractor states if there were any other way to construct the building between the regular construction hours, they would. As of today, the scheduled dates for these pours are November 29th, December 5th, December 12th, December 18th, and December 28th. So what we have asked the school district and the contractor to do, and what they've agreed to do, is to devise a plan for communicating with residents directly to them from the contractor or the school district, not by way of the city. What is happening, why it's happening, the nature of these pours and why they require this length of time, and the dates, and somebody to contact if they have any questions or if they just want to complain. Because we do recognize this is a great inconvenience. It does seem unavoidable. So what I expect, and they're still finalizing a communication plan that they'll get to us, I believe, tomorrow, but that they would be making personal contact, knocking on doors, attempting to talk to people directly about it, and then failing that, having a flyer that will be inserted into doors to explain all of these different things. So that's where we are on this, and on behalf of the city, and I know that the contractor and the school district also do recognize the inconvenience to residents, and that's what is planned to occur. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Not a question, but just maybe, some of you know about concrete. I used to work in concrete. And just think of it, when they pour basement walls, it has to be a continuous pour, because if they pour half a wall and then come back tomorrow and pour on top of that, they won't bind together. It'll be a spot that could give, so they got to be all at the same time. And this is a way bigger project than basement walls, but that's why that has to be done. They got to start and keep on pumping until it's done.
That's what I've come to understand. Yes, sir.
The communication plan is great.
That's important to communicate it with people.
Yeah.
I personally have little sympathy for people to complain about things like, unless it's some horrible, if they're ill or something like, things have to make noise and get done. We've had people down there where I live that complaining because the guy comes through and removes the snow early in the morning, I don't understand people that they're laying there in bed enjoying a sleep, and they don't have to get up and take the doggone snow off their driveway or blow the leaves off their patio. Ridiculous. My opinion.
Moving on to the next item, if there's nothing else.
That sounds
I've
good.
also communicated to you regarding the city's recycling center located in the YMCA overflow lot on Iron Street. So, we've had this recycling center since 2010 when we entered into a contract with Town and Country Disposal, our last trash and recycling contractor. And that recycling center was established as a drop-off site for residents who lived in primarily for residents who lived in apartments and local businesses that didn't qualify for curbside recycling. And then Ripple Glass then subsequently put in a glass recycling container there at that site. So that's what we have as of today. At one point, we were having problems with lot of recycling being taken down there, and so we talked to Town and Country about adding a second recycling container, which they did. They added a second 20-yard roll-off container that seemed to largely take care of the overflow problem. As you know, we did enter into a new trash and recycling contract a short time ago with Jim's Disposal Service. They've been operating since November 1st. And Town and Country removed its recycling containers, and Jim's Disposal Service replaced it with one of theirs. And the Jim's containers are customized. They have customized opening. They're intended to make people break down their boxes, their cardboard boxes, which constitute a lot of the recycling that's been dropped off, and also put items individually, plastic, cans, whatever, into the slots that are at the top of the container. I provided you a picture of that, of what the container looks like. But what we have known since 2010 really is that many people who have brought cardboard boxes to the recycling center have brought them whole, have not broken them down. They've just sort of put them in through the large windows that were in the Town and Country containers. And then many people have also brought their recyclables in bags, often trash bags, which again they've just sort of thrown in whole into the container, one thing of note is that trash bags are not recyclable. They really should not be put into the recycling container. We've also found that if people can't get them in there, they often will just leave their stuff down there by the container itself and not put it in. Another issue that Town and Country indicated has been an issue, and Jim's Disposal has indicated is also an issue, or likely will be, is that many people bring things other than recycling and put them in the container. And when they do that, that contaminates the recycling to the point where Town and Country indicated many times it was simply taking the dumpster at its own expense and just putting it in a landfill because there was too much other stuff in there and they're not in a position to take that and separate it, separate trash from recycling. And then lastly, we have found evidence in the past and recently that many users of the recycling center come from out of town. They probably found that it's there and enjoy the convenience of being able to use it. But whether they're using it for recycling or for trash, many of the users seem to be from out of town. So mid-month, Jim's did bring, because we were having problems with dumping there, right afterwards when people would get there and they would find the container that only had the slots and they couldn't get their stuff in, and so they just left it for us to then deal with at staff level, and we did. Then we asked Jim's, well, can we do something in the short term until we have a chance to talk to council about this? And they did bring a large unlidded container and almost immediately began filling up with unbroken down boxes and also trash. We think that this is going to be a problem that's going to continue. We believe that the best solution may be to simply at this point remove the Jim's Disposal Service containers, remove the recycling service for cardboard, plastics, paper, continue to have the Ripple glass there for glass recycling. It's regrettable, but we do think that probably at this point the solution is worse than the problem is worse than the solution, which is that we've got to have and probably will continue to have a dumping situation. Mr. Hauber indicates that he spoke with staff at Mark, I believe, today. There is, for folks who are willing to transport it down, recycling available at Kansas City's facility on Doremus, the same one that's used for household hazardous waste. So at this point, we are seeking your input as to whether we should remove those containers. In the short term, we expect that some people will bring their stuff down, not see the containers there, and just leave it there. We would intend to put up some signage, and we would intend to try to work to get, if you decide to remove those containers, to, eventually, hopefully that would not continue. But at this point, the question that we're asking of council is, should we remove those containers?
I think I answered your email, and I may have hit everybody, I don't know, but it's a shame, but I think we're going to have to take them out. I mean, people are not going to change. And these aren't our residents, I don't think, doing that, because they can put it on curb. It's like you said, maybe the apartments. Certainly, I think a lot of people just know they're there, whether they work down here or go to the gym. But I think the only solution is to remove them. And I'm glad you're leaving the thing for glass, because we do use that too. But the people are not going to change. You can put up sign. You can put a guard. The only thing you do is put a guard over there.
I agree.
And the pictures were terrible, folks. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but they just threw trash outside of them, big piles of trash. So my opinion was to go ahead and get rid of them.
I worry that if you leave the glass container and that's the only one, are people just going to stuff stuff in there?
That is an issue sometimes. If you go down and look in it, people do that. But I guess we would rather not go to that step at this point. We would like to hope.
For sure, we need
yeah.
the glass one somewhere if it's
Right.
not there, for sure.
We would need to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Does the cameras at the YMCA facility, do we have any cameras that show that lot or show any?
There is a camera in the vicinity, and we even have a sign that says, "Smile, you're on camera." And one thing that I've talked to the police chief about today is perhaps putting up our one of our temporary cameras that we have on a trailer that can move. It's not temporary; it's mobile, so that we can try to do it. Now, as a matter of enforcement, it's not going to use. We would not, frankly, be using that to try to catch and apprehend people, but that would hopefully be a deterrent to people. That we might keep a camera down there to let people know that we are.
Take them out. I'd take them. People, you're right, Councilman Stewart. People are that way. They put stuff in our dumpsters down there at the gardens. Not all the time, but they abuse that stuff. People drive all over. You could have put a sign up maybe that because of abuse by a few individuals we've had to remove, or something to shame somebody. Maybe I don't know whether that would help a little bit or not, but.
We've talked to Jim's Disposal, and they're in agreement to remove it? Or?
They are. I mean, it's part of our contract that they have them, but they certainly would have no issue with removing.
Okay.
Do we get a reduction of?
No.
Okay. You already asked that, or?
It's in the contract.
You just know I'm going to ask that question, right?
Okay.
Shall we? I don't need more than consensus, but is that the council consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
If
right.
we have, the only thing I would say is if we have residents who come back and, have concerns, that we come back to the table and kind of maybe brainstorm
happy.
some
Yeah.
options.
Well, do we have a general idea of what % of residents don't have curbside recycling now? Or a general idea?
I don't have a good handle on the number of apartments and others. I'm sorry, I don't have
Okay.
that at my fingertips. We can try to get a handle
Yeah,
on that.
no,
number,
I-
but, yeah.
You have something there?
Yeah, we have, we use Death and Ball. We got a trash, we got 2 recycling ones. But the trash ones, people are still occasionally, they'll put toilets in there, they'll put divans in there, all of that stuff. I don't know whether Defenbaugh complains to management about that mixing stuff up. I'd have to ask management if we get complaints.
My guess is that they do complain to management, and I think
I'm going to check in that and see if they do complain.
I would
about
not be surprised if they end up taking a lot of those things that are put in for recycling to the landfill because it's
yeah, I agree.
But I don't know that for certain.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, thank you. I think we have our direction on that. Just the last thing I'd note is, unfortunately, but not a surprise, but we've known for a while now that Chief Fisher would be retiring, and he did submit his letter of retirement to me a few days ago, and that is in your packet. So we'll regret losing Chief Fisher in January, but he still will be around for a while. We have begun the process of recruitment for a new fire chief, and Chief Fisher is participating in that process, so I'm happy about that. So, Gary, you'll be here for a while longer, so don't start packing your bags yet. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Rick.
Yeah. But when I retired, even after 39 years, somebody said, I knew he'd never last. So, I guess we could say that about you, huh? I've tried to watch the trash people, and I think they're doing a good job this month. If anybody calls and complains about their barrels being turned over today, I can tell you the wind could have done it today after they were empty. But I don't know. I can't think of anything else. I really enjoyed the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. I made some suggestions to him, though. I really enjoyed it, and I visited with a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time, and the kids were there was a bunch of people there, but we couldn't hear. So I suggested to the mayor better speakers. The city might get some better speakers, or maybe some Bluetooth ones, where you can put them out amongst and perhaps we could draw electricity for lighting from the building instead of having that generator going, because you had a bad PA system and then you had the generator going for the lights. I never heard a word that was said on the stage, not a word.
You didn't miss much.
The mayor's speech was about that long.
The mayor had a big, long speech. You didn't hear it?
Yeah.
Went on for hours.
Yeah. But, and I don't know, the other years it was out here, I don't remember the generator going with lighting, was there? There was?
I think It's always been hard to hear. So yeah, next year we could make some improvements, I think.
I don't
Make
know.
some electrical improvements, so we'll need
Put
to
a 100-amp panel out there for the lighting, and it was supposed to save the day. I don't know what happened. It must have malfunctioned.
Oh.
So I don't think we'll have this problem once that. I didn't even hear about it.
But if they had to use a generator next year, like I said, if we would buy some more speakers, and that can be amplified around the crowd,
we'll look at that.
because it'd been a lot more fun if you could hear, but it was fun anyway. I enjoyed it. And thank you for everybody that put that on. That's all I have, Fred.
Well, I too want to say that we had a nice event for the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. We couldn't ask for better weather, temperature-wise. And I'd like to wish Chief Fisher a good retirement, happy retirement, and everyone a nice Thanksgiving. That's it.
I want to reiterate, Fred's, everybody have a good Thanksgiving, and as far as the trash service goes, they've been Johnny on the spot because they come and pick the trash up, and a couple hours later they come and get the recyclables. No problems, at least not up in my neighborhood. That's all.
Yeah, just Chief Fisher, enjoy your retirement. It's been nice getting to know you, and I think we'll do a good job finding a good replacement, hopefully. So that's all from me.
We were able to enjoy the mayor's Christmas tree event, and my son and his choir from Briarcliff performed, and we had a great time. Thank you to everybody who helped with that. And I live right behind the school, and I did not hear anything this morning. And neither did Bryant. That is all.
I'm happy that wards 3 and 4 are happy with our trash service so far. So that's awesome. And happy Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to say anything about your retirement because you're here for another 2 months. So I'll tell you in January, I guess. Three council meetings? Okay, well, I'll catch you later then.
We are going to miss you, Chief, and I think you should maybe find a volunteer fire department that you could join on your, have something to do in your off
That would
hours.
be for free.
Nothing else.
Couple of things. Can we vote no on his resignation? Can we make him stay? Great job, Chief. I mean, you've done a great job for our fire department. You progressed it, so I appreciate all the hard work that you've done. Just echo the comments on the mayor's tree lighting. Everything's already been said about that. Great job, as always, by our park department. Some of the suggestions. And echo Rick's comments on the trash service. You know, we were getting at least a complaint or two a week. Haven't heard a peep out of anybody on the trash service. So, Jim's, keep it up. You're doing a good job. Let's see here. And I'm glad to, get the parking situation for Olson taken care of. I think that's exciting that they're bringing their Briarcliff office down here, down to North Kansas City. So that's fantastic. Let's see here. And also, let's see, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And the only other thing is some of the residents wanted to thank the school students for doing the leaf rake a few weeks ago. Or if you did note that the students were raking the leaves into the street. So, certainly appreciate what they do, but I know the reasons why we don't want the leaves in the street. Maybe that's something that can be communicated to the school district next year when they do it. That's it.
I want to thank the council for taking on the responsibility of taking care of that building down there. I don't believe it really was the park department's responsibility. Thank you. That's all I got.
Number 25, consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes, Section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
My wife told him, no, my husband reads the X-ray.
Oh.